G'day everybody, Mark here from Illawarra Education Foundation. Today we're going to have some fun. We're going to be learning about fractions. Hi everybody, welcome back to our lesson today on fractions. Now before we start, we need to understand two very important things. The first thing we need to understand is the concept of whole. What does whole mean? Well, you can see here I've bought a lot of chocolate. We have each of these are in packets that I haven't opened. I've got one here, of course, that I have. But the concept is that this 200 gram block of chocolate is one whole. It is complete. I haven't actually opened it and started eating it. And we class that as one whole. We have a similar size bar here, a Kit Kat. It is complete, it's intact, one whole. Here I have a box of 5 chocolates, 5 separate chocolates. However, even though we can see there are 5 in there, this box is one whole. Here we have a packet of mega M&Ms. Now, even though there's a lot of separate M&Ms in here, this packet is one whole. It's one complete, if you like, group of chocolate. Okay? So once we understand that one whole can actually be different each and every time, that's really important that we understand. So a whole means it's the complete and it's always one whole. The second thing that we need to know before we actually move into this lesson is that the whole, in this case it's a Kit Kat, needs to be divided fairly and equally into the equal parts for the fraction. We can't actually divide that up into bigger pieces or smaller pieces. Each fraction has to be exactly the same size. And you'll see that today as we progress through our lesson, each of the parts of the whole is actually the same size as the other parts of that one whole. So now we understand that, we can actually start the lesson today. Stay with me. So everyone, what I've done is I've taken the wrapping off the chocolate so I can actually have a really good look at them to see what each whole looks like. Now, we already know that one whole is the complete unit. So let's first of all look at this chocolate biscuit that we have here. One whole, and it's actually divided, I don't know if you can see it, but it's divided into 4 equal parts. And of course, all of these are divided in different ways. To understand fractions, we need to understand there's a top number and a bottom number. For example, here we have a fraction, and we probably know that that means half. Okay? Now this top number is called the numerator. And the numerator is the number of equal parts that you have. You then have the denominator. Now the denominator represents how many parts to make up one whole. So keep that in mind. We are now going to look at each of these chocolates and represent one whole. Here we have a whole that is divided into 4 equal parts. The denominator is 4. 4 equal parts make a whole. And I actually have 4 of them with me. One whole. Let's look at this chunky Kit Kat. Don't know if you can see. Broken up into 3 equal parts. And of course I have 3 of them here. I have 3 parts and the whole is broken up into 3 equal parts. I have a whole. Here we have a chocolate bar. It's divided into 6 equal parts. And of course I have all 6 here. So I have 6 of the 6 equal parts. It is one whole. Now, this one, there are actually two ways to look at it. You can either see 5 equal parts or even break those 5 to make 10. So this whole, you can say, is broken up into 5 equal parts, and of course I have 5. Or if you have more to share, it's broken up into 10 equal parts, and of course I still have the 10 parts here. This box of Ferrero Rocher, this whole is broken up into 5 equal parts. And of course, you can see I still have all 5. And last one, I have this large Toblerone. It's divided into 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 equal parts. And here it is, I still have all 15. Each of these fractions, 4 over 4, 3 over 3, 6 over 6, 5 over 5, 10 over 10, and 15 over 15, all mean one whole. So another thing that I want you to understand today, to memorize if you like, whenever the numerator is the same as the denominator, it will always equal one whole. That's right. So you could actually write any number as the numerator, and so long as it's the same as the denominator, it will always equal 1. For example, 101 parts that I have, and the whole is broken up into 101 equal parts. It means 1. 375 over 375 equals 1. You get the idea, I'm sure. So please remember that, everybody, that when the numerator and the denominator are equal, it means one whole. So now let's look at how we can actually write some fractions for ourselves. Here I have a whole Kit Kat. It's divided equally into 4 equal parts. I'm going to actually take for myself one of those 4 equal parts. So I now have one of the 4. But I think, I have a friend who'd like to have some too. I'm actually going to share another. So I'm going to share that 1/4. I have left over 2/4. So it's as simple as that. When we think about fractions, the top number, the numerator, is how many I have. The denominator is how many equal parts make the whole. Now you'll also notice that I actually wrote here that the 2/4 left over, the 2/4, I actually wrote as 2/4. But many of you will know, hey Mark, I know another way that we can write 2/4. That is actually half of the whole. Now what you've just discovered there, it is called an equivalent fraction, or the same. So 2/4, 2/4 is the same as 1 over 2, 1/2. They are exactly the same. There's our 2/4, there is our half. Let's have a look at some other fractions. This chunky Kit Kat, it's broken up into 3 equal parts. I'm actually going to keep 1/3 for me. One of the total 3 parts of the whole. These 2 parts, I'm actually going to give away to my friend. You can see here that 1/3 and 2/3 equals a whole, if I had them back together. But of course, today we're doing fractions. We need to share the 1/3 and the 2/3. Let's now have a look at maybe fifths. So we've looked at quarters and we've looked at thirds. We've looked at a whole divided into 4 parts and a whole divided into 3 parts. Now let's look at a whole divided into 5 equal parts, or fifths. Here I have a chocolate bar that's divided into 5 equal parts. Each of those is equivalent, is 1 of the total of 5. Of course, I can now group that. Here I've actually got 3 of the 5, and now here I've got 2 of the 5. So on this side, I actually have, cross that out, I have 2 fifths. This side, I have 3 of the 5 parts, and we say fifths. Now that we're still on the fifths, we actually have a whole here. And the whole box has actually got 5 equal parts. And again, we can show that, we can group that. We might, in this group, have 4 of the total 5 on this side. And on this side, we have 1 of the fifth. Of course, altogether is 1 whole. So if we added those together, we're going to have the 5 fifths, which is 1 whole. Why don't we try something a little bit harder? So now we actually have a whole group of 7 mega M&Ms. That is my whole. So I have 7 in the whole, and I actually have with me 7 equal parts. Now, of course, if I decide to give away a few, this friend can have 2 of my 7. So now my friend has 2 of the 7 equal parts. That's left me with 5 sevenths. 5 of the 7 equal parts. But then I have another friend who says, oh, share with me. I'm going to give away 3 of those 7 equal parts. And we call that 3 sevenths. And of course that's left me with 2 sevenths. Now what would happen if these 2 friends combined their M&Ms? As you can see, my friends combined have 5 of the 7. They would have 5 sevenths if they joined them together. Let's do one more example of what a fraction means, bearing in mind, of course, that we understand the whole and, of course, breaking that whole up into equal parts. So here we have the Toblerone. You may remember it has 15 equal parts in the whole. Now, of course, if I'm going to share this with my friends, I might give away 4 of the 15 equal parts to my friends, and of course that leaves me with the remainder, which is of course 11, because 11 plus 4 is 15. So over this side I now have 11 15ths. Now you may have noticed in all of these past examples, the numerator, to be a proper fraction, has to be a smaller number than the denominator. So let me say that again. The numerator, the top number, to be a proper fraction, it actually needs to be less than the denominator. If you don't really realize that, go back, have a look at all the previous examples, and you'll see the only time that the numerator is equal, it is always a whole. So there I've made that Toblerone whole again. We have 15 numerator and the denominator 15, they're actually equal. But for it to be a proper fraction, the numerator will never ever be bigger than the denominator. So thanks for watching. I really hope that this has helped you to understand about numerator and denominator and about how we write fractions. Please log on to the website illawarraeducationfoundation.com. The address is on the screen, and actually have a look. There's going to be a lot of videos on fractions. We'll actually be looking at improper fractions. We'll be also looking at how to add and subtract fractions, and even to talk about how to actually add and subtract when the denominators are different. We'll also be looking at equivalent fractions, or fractions that mean the same, but actually they're written using different numbers. Thank you for watching. Please share, please subscribe, and please write comments if you like these videos. And thank you. I'll see you next time.